Hello, welcome to this session. In this session, we shall talk about the qualities and skills of a counselor. But before we begin the session with qualities and skills of any counselors, let us understand about counseling and the various components related to counseling in the beginning, and then we can proceed towards the qualities and skills required to be an effective counseling. So, first of all, when we talk about counseling, so we say that counseling is a collaborative process through which individuals are helped to define goals, make decisions, and solve problems related to personal, social, educational, and career concerns. In this way, we can say that counseling is all related to solving problems. It is a special category of human relationship that aims to help an individual to manage his or her problems. Okay, and a conversational process that can be instrumental in the development of skills that help learners effectively to confront and cope with uncertainties and conflicts. Okay, in this way we can be very sure about the meaning of counseling, and as we understand, counseling helps the learners or any person to cope with the situations and manage the conflicting situations by developing certain skills or getting certain information or by getting certain advices. Then when we talk about the counseling altogether we can say that it consists of three activities. As I said, it consists of informing, advising, and counseling. When we talk about informing, it means giving an appropriate and correct information to learners. For example, we can say that I am sorry, the university regulations don't allow you to submit an assignment late. Okay, we can give certain information to the student by this. This is called information. Then we can talk about advising. Advising means it involves suggesting an appropriate course of action to the learners. Perhaps we can say that offering several options but recommending only for one, we can say that one specially for the particular learners. For example, here we can say that, well, we have two maths courses, but you could take any one, but as you want to be an engineer, we suggest you to go for the applied math course. In this way, we can suggest the learners that, or we can advise the learners that what course he or she has to take or what decisions he or he has to take. We can advise the learners. Then we can talk about the counseling. It is helping the learners to clarify their needs, feelings, or motivations so that they can make an appropriate decision for themselves. It is all about making an appropriate decisions, but as counselors we have to guide the learners, or we have to guide the persons who need our help. Then obviously in open and distance education we talk about the characteristics of distance learners, because before going for counseling we have to understand the characteristics of the institutions as well as the learners also. In as far as the institutions are concerned, yes, definitely there may be dual mode institutions, there may be single mode institutions, or the institutional structure and institutional characteristics may be very complex also. But as far as the characteristics of distance learners are concerned, then we can say that most of them are adult learners. Okay, this is accepted that in open and distance learning the learners are adult learners. Then mostly heterogeneous in character. When we say about heterogeneous, that means at risk, socially backward, disabled, and geographically also isolated. These are the learners we generally have in open and distance learning institutions. Then many learners are also employed, housewives, or married also. In this way, we can say that in open and distance education, the self-directed learners are there, then the self-motivated learners are there, and the self-disciplined learners are also there. But at any point of time during the course or before admission or after completing the program also, they may seek certain information, they may seek certain advice, or they may seek certain counseling also. For this reason also we need to understand the characteristics or the background of the learners also. But in this way, now we can talk about that if counseling is needed, then when it is needed. It may be, as I said, that before taking admission, or counseling during the program or post completion stage also, they may need certain information, advice, or counseling. Then what kind of counseling or the forms of counseling we can talk about also. It may be one-to-one versus group counseling. As I said that if a student comes to the institution or to the counselor, then the counselor has to decide whether she needs one-to-one counseling or that may be treated in a group situation also. Similarly, the face-to-face counseling and mediated counseling is also there, because in open and distance education institutions mostly we depend on the technological aspects also, and in that sense we have to decide whether the counseling sessions have to be conducted face-to-face or through any mediated means. Then we can talk about the developmental and problem solving also, because all the time the counseling of course is for developing certain skills or for the development of the counseling, but many times it has been found or it has been seen that the learners also come with certain family problems, personal problems, or any other non-academic problems also. Then what kind of advice, information, or counseling has to be provided, whether that is problem solving or that is developmental. In that way also we can categorize the counseling. Then academic and non-academic counseling, as I said, that there may be issues related to the admission, related to the evaluation, or related to any kind of academic issues or non-academic issues. In this way we can even bifurcate the counseling into two, that is academic or non-academic also. Now we can talk about the qualities or skills of a counselor, because if these are the aspects related to counseling, then what can be the qualities or skills that required to develop by an academic counselor? If one has to develop certain qualities, definitely one has to have certain skills also. But now let us talk about the qualities that are required for an effective counseling. Those may be warmth, acceptance, genuineness, and empathy. In short, we can say that WAGE. W for warmth, A for acceptance, G for genuineness, and E for empathy. This is the shortest way or easiest way to remember the qualities that are required to an effective counseling. Then let us talk about the first quality, that is warmth. It means the ability to communicate personal warmth and to make the learners feel welcome and valued as individuals. Okay, we should feel the learners welcome, and we should have the dialogue in such a way that they should feel comfortable also. For example, hello, can I help you? No, I'm sorry, I'm too busy. I cannot talk to you right now. Can you come after some time? This is the way we can talk to the students or learners. It should be appropriate and genuine, but not overdone. This has to be kept in mind. It should not make the recipient feel feel taken over or manipulated also. This is more important. And the reasons for not being warmth may be tiredness, overwork, consciousness of status, and unfavorable attitude. These are the reasons sometimes we cannot be warmth towards the learners. This may be, as I said, tiredness, overwork, consciousness, all these things come into picture when we talk about the warmth. But we should always try to show our warmth towards the learners. Then we can talk about the acceptance. Acceptance, as you all know, that accepting somebody or accepting other people and their feelings for what they are without criticizing or judging them personally. This is more important. We are not there as counselors to criticize or judge them. Rather, we should take them as they are. And criticism, whether in the form of moral injunctions or negative statements, has little role to play in counseling, because in counseling these aspects have no role also, as it tends to shut down the communication. It may lead to lack of communication also. And the reasons, as we talked in the warmth also, the reasons for not being accepting or not accepting the students may be the authoritarian personalities, because sometimes the counselors are also some sort of authoritarian behavior they show. These are not expected from the counselors. Then the prejudices about the class also, race, age and sex, and because of fixed, often wrong ideas about their roles. Okay, and sometimes the counselors are also misleaded and they pick certain negative aspects of the counseling, as some may think that I am a teacher, okay, and a teacher's job is to only criticize. But this should not be the ideal practice on behalf of a counselor. He or she has to accept the learners as they are, and he or she should come forward to talk to the learners gently and try to understand their queries, and accordingly he or she has to react or give advice, information or counseling, whatever they need. Then the third quality we can talk about the genuineness. The ability to be naturally oneself, open and friendly and undefensive. These are the more important qualities under genuineness. Okay, being honest with oneself and with the learners about one's own feelings and activities. Okay, and the reasons for not being genuine also we can talk about. These may be the status consciousness or feelings of their own inadequacies, which are hard to admit also. Sometimes it is very hard to admit that inadequacy or other negative aspects, the status consciousness and all these things, that also prevent us to become genuine sometimes. Okay, then we can talk about the empathy, the ability to sense the feelings and experience of another person, and so to fully appreciate them as if they were that person. Okay, and empathy can be a difficult quality to acquire. Always we should remember that empathy is not about the sympathy we are talking. We are only talking about the empathy. It is very difficult to acquire, and sometimes because of the difficulty for understanding that every person's experience is unique and that our own experience can only be a fallible guide to how more people might feel about an ostensibly similar experience also. Okay, this is all about the empathy. Now we can talk about certain skills which are required to acquire by a counselor. Okay, these may be selecting, listening, and structuring also. These are SLS. Okay, in short, we talk about selecting. Uh, about selecting, we can say that it is the process of deciding what kind of response from the information, advising, or counseling spectrum is to appropriate at any particular stage in an interview or an interaction. From the information, advising, or counseling spectrum, what aspect has to be taken? We have to select that, and that is the kind of skill a counselor needs. And inappropriate response can halt progress in its tracks also, and giving information to someone who really needs advice or counseling may satisfy him or her temporarily. Okay, sometimes it may satisfy temporarily, but will not answer his or her real or long term needs, because information is likely to be very frustrating for him or her, because sometimes we may give certain information, but he or she may need certain something else. He or she may need certain advice or counseling, but in that way that can solve temporarily, but on the long run it will not work. That's why we have to be very selective also. Then we are talking about the kind of skill that is listening. The skill of active and intelligent listening is central to the counseling of any type, okay, whether informatory, advisory, or counseling. Useful and simple technique to help someone to listen better, okay, better questions, or we can say that acknowledgements, reflections, and silences also. These are the things which are important under listening. Those are, as I said, that acknowledgement, because sometimes we have to acknowledge the students and learners who are in front of us, and reflections also. Then silences, sometimes the counselors have to be silent also, and they have to be silent listeners, and after that they should decide and proceed further. And the third skill we are talking about, that is structuring. This is the heart of counseling, because after listening to the students, that in what way the counseling can be structured is also more important. It means to know when to give counseling, advice, or information. Structuring consists of 3 stages, that we can say that clarification, checking, and consequences. Okay, when we talk about the clarifications, the basic counseling process of clarifying the issue or problem by dialogue with the learner also. Okay, and when we talk about the checking, going back to the learner to ensure that the problem or issue is to completely clear or not. And then when we talk about the consequences, then settling with the learners what will be done by them and by the counselor as a result of interview. This is more important, because structuring plays an important role in the counseling, and one has to develop the skills. Then the second part, we are talking about how to organizing a counseling session in a better way. Then planning in advance, this is more important, because maybe at the beginning of any academic session this is required. Then the availability of physical space, then human resources, learner conveniences, and local climatic conditions are also the few important factors that must be considered while planning any counseling sessions. Okay, then information of counseling schedule well in advance to the learners is also more important. And similarly, the ODL institutions mostly organize the limited face-to-face sessions through out the academic sessions on weekends or on the holidays in the evening hours only. Then we can say that timely budgeting and arrangement of physical infrastructure are also most crucial for successful implementation of any counseling sessions. We can now we can proceed towards the mock counseling, or we can talk about certain examples. Okay, then if we talk about Mr. Z, who is a graduate and is pursuing a professional degree through the distance mode, and the course or program requires some practical work in another nearby institution which is 10 kilometers maybe away from his residence, then but the only problem with him is that Mr. Z is a visually impaired person and he has a few queries related to the medium of instruction and then about the examination pattern and the assistance during the program. If these are the queries, then as a effective counselor, what can be our response? Okay, the response can be the learners like Mr. Z can also can pursue their education in spite of their disability, as distance mode is disabled friendly. That is the first thing. And as an academic counselor, one should first identify the we can say that categories as well as the levels of the levels of impairment and the individual needs of learners while pursuing the courses or any program also. That also we have to decide as counselors. Then the information can also be disseminated to them regarding the various technological benefits available and their uses also. And the response to the question put up by Mr. Z, one can respond in this way. We can say that as far as the medium of instruction is concerned, if Mr. Z is a person with low vision, then he or she should be assisted with a large print material or the materials on or the kind of magnifiers which to improve the visibility or the reading ability of the self-learning materials also. On the other hand, if he or she is totally visually impaired, then he or she should be provided the materials in audio formats or e-text or in braille formats also. As far as the assistance during the program or course is concerned, then the course or program offers practical work, then it is the responsibility of the we can say that the counselor is to provide information regarding the facilities that are available by the in the form of, we can say that, practical assistance from the institutional side that has to be provided. And if needed, the counselor should also organize a one-to-one counseling. This is more important. If needed, one-to-one counseling also may be arranged also. Then depending upon the, we can say that, requirements of the learner. Okay, if Mr. Z and other learners with disability should be given we can say that flexibility in deadline for the submission of the assignments, and the methods of submitting their assignments also may be as per their choice also. Then exam patterns, as he asked, then during examination also he or she can be given an option to choose for a scribe who will write examination for him or her, or select the way to take the exams, which can be through audio recording or with the help of a computer, or whatever way he or she wants to appear the examination. And if certain be informed before about the extra time facility also, we can talk about that. We can provide certain extra time to those kind of learners. Moreover, he or she should be informed about the pattern of alternative questions are also in the place of diagrams, charts, or any other statistical questions if are there, then those also should be informed beforehand to the learners. In the concluding part, we can say that the points such as need-based counseling, one-to-one counseling, face-to-face counseling, group counseling and online counseling. These all should be emphasized in accordance to the individualized needs or based on the needs. Accordingly, we can talk about the information, advice or counseling the learners who seek. We can provide them accordingly. Okay, with this we can end this session. Thank you all once again.